Now, the police intercepted a vehicle driven by suspect Bernard Kumiofosu near St. Dominic Hospital, Akwatia. The search led to discovery of pump-action gun and cartridges. Suspect provided valid license and investigations are ongoing. Also, on the 22nd of August 2025, in a separate operation at Akwatia Y Junction, a suspect Joshua Amenuku was arrested after retrieving some 15 live BB cartridges from him. Pump-action gun was subsequently retrieved from his residence as well. And we'll bring you more as regards the operations of the police. Well, we also do know that suspect Peterson Joseph was arrested at Boadia Livingston Junction. Pump-action gun again and cartridges were retrieved. The suspect Stephen Inkansa was found with pump-action guns at Asamankase direction towards Boadia. And again, we're learning that so far, 10 suspects have been arrested and 9 weapons retrieved, 8 pump-action guns, 1 locally manufactured single-barrel gun. And I know that the police has sent some 600 men. We'll bring you more as and when we get the latest from there. Meanwhile, the Small Arms Commission has declared Akwatia as a, quote, no-go area for any form of weapon, unquote. In a statement, the commission warned that persons arrested in breach of this directive will be prosecuted. Let's speak to Emmanuel Koting. He's the Executive Director, Africa Center for Security and Counterterrorism. Good afternoon to you, sir. Thank you so much for joining us.
Good afternoon. Thank you for having me.
The operation.
Good afternoon to your cherished listeners.
The operation undertaken by the police in the last couple of days is raising some serious concerns, particularly with the nature of guns they have randomly retrieved from those in the community. Does it sound any sort of alarm for you as well?
Well, I think it's just the scratch of the surface as far as small arms and light weapons in the hands of civilians are concerned. You know, Akwatia is a hot spot of galamsey, and more often than not, these galamseyers are more armed to the teeth. In your report, you did indicate those who were arrested were able to show such weapons were licensed into their names. So we have to look at our legal regulatory framework as far as licensing of weapons are concerned. Why should these little weapons be licensed into the name of private individuals? For what purpose? So to me, I think that the call by the Commission for Small Arms and Light Weapons is in the right direction, but they lack that authority. It's just a commission. Go and look at the law establishing the commission. That is why we were all calling for the transformation of the commission into an authority so that it can have the legal or the teeth to bite. Luckily, my colleague Adam Bona, some few months ago, was sitting where I'm sitting now and talking. But it looks as if things of that nature have gone quiet. To me, we have to look at the issue of small arms and light weapons holistically. We have to bring policies that can eliminate these weapons to begin with, and then we can trigger in all the control measures to prevent its proliferation. One of the measures I've always called for is arms amnesty. We can bring arms amnesty. The Commission for Small Arms and Light Weapons with other stakeholders can collaborate for now with the relevant authority like the police to make sure that after the amnesty period, they can trigger in all the necessary measures to restrict by force those who have failed to make use of the amnesty. As the commission stands now, it's just teethless. It can't bite. So it is also a call on Parliament as a matter of agency to consider the bill before it and make sure it's passed as a matter of agency. Then we can transition the commission into an authority.
Beyond
Beside these by-elections, I don't think this search and this thing we are getting, the weapons are in relation to the by-election in Akotia. No, it's for gallantries and for the rightful reasons. The people who they have arrested. If you dig further, you see that they are all gallantries and they are not political players. So one may ask, how can we bring an incident free to the by-election in Akotia?
And that's where I was going to. How do you expect the police to handle this beyond these operations that I just mentioned to you?
Look, I am of the firm belief that good things can equally come from Africa for the West to copy from us. By-elections in Ghana has resulted in unnecessary deaths and casualties. Sometimes you see people maimed for life. Akotia should be the catalyst for a reformation in this direction. And it is simple. The police, through the Electoral Commission, should call in the major stakeholders. That's the NDC and the NPP. If you want to propagate your message to the good people of Akotia in the spirit of democracy, nothing prevents you. But within 48 hours to the elections or 24 hours to the elections, we don't need any political player if you are not a voter in Akotia.
We'll have to end it here, unfortunately, because of time. Emmanuel Coutin is Executive Director, Africa Center for Security and Counter-Terrorism, and still staying on the by-election. The Action People's Party is protesting the Electoral Commission's last-minute disqualification of its candidate, David Ankuma, from the parliamentary by-election in the Akwatia constituency slated for the 2nd of September. They are asking the court to compel the EC to include their name on the ballot, arguing that all requirements were met. The party's chairman, Kenneth Nana Kwame, explained their position to 3FM earlier.
My candidate is a government worker. He's a nurse in Akotia General Hospital. He has been working over there for the past 16 years. We presented his pay slips, including the GRA tax numbers, which were verified by the Electoral Commission at Akotia office. And that is the reason why they asked us to come for balloting. So once they have accepted that one, why would they come back and tell us about the tax clearance? We have done with this. We have gone through all these proceedings with him. Right after I speak with Mr. Tete made Mr. Kisi call me to submit my logo for the notice of the poll, which I did it around 4:30. That was where we received the disqualification letter from Mr. Tete saying that, we did not present our tax clearance. So what you people are doing is not fair. That is why we spoke to our lawyer and we took them to court to put injunction on the case. So 28 is the court case. We want the court to order the Electoral Commission to include my candidate at the Akotia by-election.
And you had the chairman of the Action People's Party, Kenneth Nana Kwame, going to court against the EC over what he calls last-minute disqualification of the party's candidate for the by-election in Akotia. Yvonne Nekwe is our regional correspondent in the Eastern region. She joins us live on the line. Yvonne, I know you've been monitoring campaigning at Akotia ahead of the September 2 by-election. How are things shaping up for the contestants? Okay, we've lost Yvonne Nekwe on the line there. Let's stay on politics as we try to reconnect to her and shift our attention to the opposition NPP, where the contest to elect a new leader is intensifying. The race has taken a sharp turn, with leading aspirants trading accusations over what led to the party's defeat in the 2024 elections. A recent speech by Dr. Brande Champon, an aspiring flag bearer, drew a direct response from the 2024 flag bearer and former Vice President Dr. Mahmoud Baumia, who firmly dismissed suggestions that ethnicity or religion influenced his electoral performance. The exchanges have raised concerns about the tone of the campaign and whether the party's leadership should intervene to maintain decorum. We'll hear from a political analyst shortly, but first, let's hear the former Vice President, Dr. Mahmoud Baumia, kind of condemning that comment, as it were.
As we prepare to go into the primaries, I am very, very concerned and troubled that some of our presidential aspirants have embarked on a religious and tribal bigotry and propaganda against me in a desperate attempt to win votes. They totally ignore all the data and findings about why we lost the 2024 elections and want to mislead the delegates and the party with such propaganda.
And you had the 2024 flag bearer of the opposition NPP and also former President Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia. Shortly, we'll be speaking to a political analyst on the way forward on this. Some 13 minutes past the hour of 12. When we come back, we'll bring you some more. Don't go away.
Ghana, it's a new year and Bills Microcredit is here to support your dreams. If you're not working but want to start a business, don't let money stop you. With just your Ghana card, you can get a loan to turn your ideas into reality. Already running a business? Need more capital? Or are you a salary worker looking for extra funds? Bills offers fast and easy loans with no collateral, no deposit, and no SUSI savings required. Wherever you are, whatever you need, Bills makes it happen. Call Bills Microcredit today. Call 0596 920 833 or 0302 200 390 and get started. Bills is licensed and regulated by the Bank of Ghana. Bills, financing your needs. Terms and conditions apply.
And you're still here on the Midday News on True FM 92.7. Let's go up north because security has been beefed up at Bitiri following a land dispute that claimed 5 lives and left several others injured. Most of the residents who fled the community are beginning to return as the Sola Tuna Kalba District Security Committee begins engagement with the feuding factions. Member of Parliament for the area, Andrew Chiwite, earlier called for calm. Let's go on the phone lines now and speak to my colleague Christopher Amwako, who's been following this developing story for us. Chris, just tell us how the situation is like right now in the area.
Yes, so Beatrice, some relative calm has been restored in the Gbeniri community after yesterday's unfortunate clash that led to the death of 5 persons with several others injured. Since yesterday, police and military have been patrolling the Gbeniri community and other adjoining communities. There was a near reprisal attack from other communities, but the intervention of the security have been able to foil that attack. Some engagements have also commenced. The Sola Tuna Kalba District Assembly has District Security Council has taken an initiative in that regard by engaging some key stakeholders within the catchment area. And so for now, there is no incidence of violence again in the area, even though the people within these areas are still peeved.
And Chris, we understand that the Savannah Regional Security Council is meeting on this matter. Has the meeting ended? Any information coming from there yet?
Okay, so the meeting has not ended, but one thing that we do know is that this meeting could be one that will influence some military or police or security beefed up in the area, because since yesterday the security from Sola and Bole as well as the Damango area have been patrolling that area, and so we are expecting that probably there could be more deployment from the other parts of Savannah region to the Gbeniri area.
Thank you very much, Christopher Amwako. He's our Northern Region correspondent. Now, WAEC has released the result of over 600,000 candidates who sat for the 2025 BECE. But not everyone is celebrating. 895 results were cancelled and 1,333 results were withheld. This is the latest chapter in the long fight against exams malpractice. According to the head of public relations for WAEC, John Kapi, most of the cancellations were due to unauthorized use of mobile phones and other foreign materials in the examination halls. He told TV3's New Day that the candidates' ability to sneak in mobile phones suggests inadequate searching by invigilators or possible collusion.
Basically, it's because of the excessive use of mobile phones in the examination hall. A number of the candidates are now resorting to sneaking into the halls with mobile phones, and that is one major offense that would certainly attract that kind of punishment. So basically, one of the rules about the examination is that before the candidates go in, the invigilators should search them thoroughly before they go in. Unfortunately, we suspect that the searching is not properly done, or that there is some kind of connivance between the invigilator and the candidates, and that is what is making it possible for them to sneak into the halls with the mobile phones. So for what we tried to do was to ensure that we had educated the people adequately for them to know the do's and don'ts of the examinations. While we spoke to a number of them, we also provided flyers, we provided posters to all of them. And so for any candidate to have their results cancelled, they probably would have known the rule and yet chose to flout it. For those whose, there are others also whose subject results were cancelled. Now, for those subject results, it's either that they had foreign material on them, and that, of course, is against the rules. The ones that we withheld, we are going to hold engagements with them. We want to call them, want to present to them the evidence that we have against them, and then they would have the opportunity to answer, based upon which we can take a decision.
And I heard John Kapi, he speaks for WAEC. The Controller and Accountant General Kwesi Ejay has told the Public Accounts Committee that Ghana's public debt currently stands at a whopping 861.4 billion cedis. An earlier report by the Auditor General submitted to Parliament indicated that this amount was overstated, with fears that it could come with some negative consequences for government account. But responding to a question posed by the chairperson of the committee, Abno Sansari, the Accountant General explained that the figures remain the same, although some minor reconciliations were done to that effect. This is what unfolded at the committee sitting earlier today.
Madam Chair, what I would say is that we prepare whole of government accounts covering the local government, that's the MMDAs, central government, and then SOEs. So when it comes to the debt figure, we look at that for central government and guaranteed SOEs, and then the unguaranteed SOEs, and the summation of the two gives us a total for the whole of government accounts. When we did that, our figure for the whole of government accounts was 861.4 billion, and that of the central government and the guaranteed SOEs came to 711.4 billion, and this is what we reported in the financial statement. But after the report was submitted to Parliament, we met with the auditors, and then we reconciled, we did some reconciliation, but we still came back with the same figure, the same 861 billion for whole of government, and then 711.4 billion for central government and guaranteed SOEs. So far as we are concerned, we reconcile. The figures haven't changed. The figure, as we see in the financial statement, is the same as we have after the reconciliation, and they haven't impacted on the accounts of the state. There wasn't an overstatement, but just some few reconciliations that we have to do with the auditors. Thank you.
Well, I can also say that I have the breakdown of the difference, and that pertains to the various SOEs. What we would want you to do moving forward is collaborate more with the audit service, and also let your responses be timely, because they are also bound by when to report when to submit these reports to Parliament. You know, there's a timeline. By end of June, they also have to get the reports ready and submit to Parliament, so that when you don't respond on a timely basis, it affects what they do. So I believe we have brought some clarity to this issue of the overstatement of public debts. The difference had to do with
And you had there Abino Sansari. She is the chair of the Public Account Committee. Like I told you, the committee is still sitting. We're joined by Christian Yale. He's my colleague who is monitoring events there for us. Chris, we do know that a major concern for most Ghanaians is the failure of state agencies to retrieve public funds from persons who have misappropriated them. What's the Controller General's response to these concerns?
Beatrice, you know, on Friday, for instance, when the Ministry of Education, under which we have the Ghana Education Service, appeared before the committee, we had roughly about 50 different districts under the Ghana Education Service that were cited for infractions, including end salaries and then payment of responsibility allowances to persons who are not mandated to receive such monies. And so that was one major concern that the chairperson raised. It was an issue of interest, asking the Accountant General to know what steps it is taking to prevent future occurrences of such. And the revelation from the Accountant General was that his office is currently working with security agencies like the Office of the Special Prosecutor to ensure that they discover and uproot all persons who are known to validate such payments to officers who are not mandated. There are even instances that you go through the audit report and realize that that person or such persons who are being paid such amounts of money are not even recognized as staff in the specific offices under the Ghana Education Service, as well as the other MDAs that have come before the committee. And so they are working assiduously to ensure that going forward, such persons are discovered and dealt with and sanctioned according to law. This was something that even the Deputy Minister for Finance, Thomas Yankwapim, also reiterated that it is of interest keenly to the Finance Ministry. The ministry itself is currently answering questions where issues about procurement breaches have come up. It has been cited in the ministry that it engaged in some 3 different contracts for hotel service amounting to some 1.3 billion cedis that did not go through competitive tendering or did not go through the entity for tender committee for approval. We can take a listen to what the Controller and Accountant General earlier on the collaborative efforts they are making with the security agencies to deal with persons who validate unearned salaries.
Letters to Controller and Accountant General to halt these payments. Some said they have done that for a year. Others said they had done that for some months. And Controller and Accountant General has still not been able, has not stopped these payments. Controller, we want to find out from you that clearly if there's evidence to that effect that they have actually written to your end, they have done everything that they need to do, and your people, as in Controller, has not done the needful, we will speak to the Auditor General and leadership and apply the necessary sanctions, because it is becoming too many. Some genuinely tell you, we sent the letters, we have proof, we have done this, we have done that. On Friday, it wasn't a pleasant situation at all. Consistently, we had more than 50 districts being cited for the same issue. Yes.
Thank you, Madam Chair. On Friday in the evening, I watched a bit of it on YouTube, and that was around 6 p.m. And I even sent a message to the Director General, Professor Davis, on the same issue. And that very evening, I called Mr. Mark Iro that I wanted a copy of the audit report. And he has promised that this week I will get it. My issue is we shouldn't just end at recovery, because we realize that we were happy when they said recovered and then we take, recovered then we take. We should go beyond recovery. Who actually did it? If it is Controller, the inputs. So the audit report will definitely indicate the recipients and their staff ID, if that should be in the audit report. So I want that report. We are working in collaboration with other security agencies, OSP, because if somebody did it, definitely we are using an Oracle system. There's an audit trail. You can go into the system and then identify who actually on that particular day process their allowances.
And he had the Controller and Accountant General Kwesi J speaking at the ongoing Public Account Committee hearings. The Northern Sector Caucus ministers and members of Parliament are embarking on data collection to start small-scale irrigation projects to help farmers in minimizing the impact of the Bagri Dam spillage. The management of Sonabel, the power generating company in Burkina Faso, has announced that the controlled spillage of water from the Bagri Dam will now take place today instead of the earlier date of Wednesday, the 27th of August. Sonabel says the change in schedule has become necessary due to a sudden surge in the dam's water level, which has now reached 90.24% of its filling capacity. Speaking on the 3FM's Sunrise Morning Show, the Upper East Regional Minister Donatus Atanga said the small-scale irrigation project will serve as a short-term measure while awaiting the long-term project of completing the Pwalugu multi-purpose dam.
The Northern Sector MPs and the Northern Sector regional ministers have had, with our political appointees, have had a meeting, and then we are looking at the possibility of making sure that before we can take the long-term project of the multi-purpose dam to address this issue, we bring in some small-scale irrigation projects that will draw the farmers away from the bank so that we'll be able to address this issue. That's what we're working on. The multipurpose dam project is going to come on as promised in the NDC manifesto for the resetting Ghana. But what we, the Northern Sector Caucus, is trying to do is to come in with the medium-term response to this issue. That is why the Northern Caucus, made up of the honorable members of Parliament, the regional ministers, and the other political appointees, have put their heads together. As of now, we are doing a data collection, and then we are identifying irrigable lands. We are identifying the type of crops that can grow in each of the areas, and so that we can introduce something like hand pumps. We can introduce solar system, mechanized systems to be able to start while we are waiting for the heavy. You know, the funding of the multipurpose dam is huge. It's about $990 million. And so that one, government will come in with a big push so that we see, and then other partnership so that we'll be able to carry out that one.
And you had the Upper East Regional Minister, Donatus Atanga. My name is Beatrice Sedu. Thank you very much for joining us on the Midday News today on 3FM 92.7. Log on to 3news.com for more news. Coming up shortly is Business Daily with Bismarck. Abusa, don't go away.
Hello, good afternoon and welcome to Business Daily on 3FM 92.7 with me, Bismarck Ausa coming up this afternoon. Bank of Ghana scales back forex interventions after IMF concerns, creating tighter dollar supply and CD depreciation. Will bring you details. Also ahead, government records second straight week under subscription at Treasury bill auction, raising 5.75 billion cedis against 6.42 billion cedis target. Will bring you details. And Ghana online drivers and courier union threaten strike, citing increasing attacks on members. We'll hear from Chairman Francis Tenge. The first time since these stories and others lined up for you. Please stay. Thanks for your company. Now to the details. The Bank of Ghana has reduced the size and frequency of its foreign exchange interventions after the International Monetary Fund, IMF, raised concerns over heavy market support in the second quarter of this year. The move has led to tighter dollar supply and a modest depreciation of the Ghana CD on the interbank market. The following three business news desk report has the details. The Bank of Ghana is pulling back on its heavy interventions in the foreign exchange market after the International Monetary Fund cautioned against excessive support measures. During the second quarter of 2025, the central bank injected over $2 billion into the market, but scaled down sharply in July, with forward sales dropping to $822.8 million, a 53% decline compared to June. The bank was also absent from the market on two occasions in July, the first time since April, resulting in tighter supply of foreign exchange. This has caused the cedi to weaken by 1.7% against the US dollar since Ghana secured IMF board approval. IC Research, a financial and economic analysis firm, says the central bank's gradual withdrawal is aimed at closing the arbitrage gap and ensuring stability in the interbank market. It projects the exchange rate to close the year between 10 cedis 45 pesos and 11 cedis 45 pesos to the dollar. Meanwhile, analysts warn that the sharp appreciation of the cedi in the first half of 2025 has created multiple exchange rates, with the interbank rate hovering around 10 cedis while retail traders quote as high as 12 cedis to the US dollar. And that was a three business news desk report on the Bank of Ghana scaling back its forex interventions after IMF concerns creating tighter dollar supply and CD depreciation. In a related development, the sharp recovery of the CD has dealt a significant blow to government revenues. The Commissioner General of the Ghana Revenue Authority, GRE, Anthony Sapon, has disclosed. According to Mr. Sapon, the local currency's appreciation from 15 cedis to about 10 cedis 50 pesos to the dollar within 3 months has translated into a 30% drop in revenue collections, particularly at the ports where duties are benchmarked in foreign currency. He noted that the extractive industry and upstream petroleum sectors, whose taxes are also paid in dollars, had similarly seen cedi equivalent receipts fall. Moving on, government has once again failed to meet its treasury bill auction, raising 5.75 billion cedis against a goal of 6.42 billion cedis. The shortfall of 673 million cedis marks the second consecutive under-subscription, highlighting persistent challenges in the government's short-term borrowing strategy. There is more in the following 3 Business News Desk reports.
According to the results of Friday, August 22, auction released by the Bank of Ghana, total bids submitted for the auction amounted to 5.81 billion cedis, with authorities accepting a slightly lower amount to manage borrowing cost. The outcome reflects the government's attempt to balance its financing needs with investor demand for higher yields. Yields on shorter-dated instruments firmed, reversing a recent trend of compression. The 91-day bill's weighted average yield increased to 10.41% from 10.13% the previous week, while the 182-day bill saw its yield rise to 12.38% from 12.23%. This suggests investors are seeking higher returns for shorter-term securities. In contrast, the 364-day bill's yield eased marginally to 13%, down by 8 basis points. The accepted bid ranges underscore the competitive nature of the auction, with the yields for the 91-day note spanning from 9.47% to 10.83%, the 182-day from 11% to 12.21%, and the 364-day from 11.3% to 14%. The consistent undersubscription points to investor caution and shifting market demands.
And that was another 3 Business News Desk report on government mission treasury bill target for the second consecutive week. Now, the Ghana Online Drivers and Courier Union is threatening a strike over rising attacks on its members and what it calls illegal charges by ride-hailing company Bolt. The union says drivers and courier operators have become targets of frequent robberies in areas such as Teshi, Nungwa, Ashoma Estates, Achimota Overhead, and the Accra Tema Motorway. Chairman Francis Tenge says members are living in fear and need urgent help.
We are calling on the Minister for Communication, Minister for Transport, the Minister for Employment. The government, Ghana Police Service should come in our aid. We are also calling on the chiefs and people of Teshi, the Ghana chief. We are calling on major stakeholders to help us because the situation that we are facing now is too much. We can't even bear it anymore. Sometimes they even stabbed us, and so it's becoming serious. We leave home and we are scared we cannot return back home. Most of the jobs that we work, our earnings for the day and at night, they take it from us. So we are really scared, and so we really need help for our lives. But sometimes now, anytime that we go to Teshi Mamli, Teshi, Labadi, Nungwa, Achimota Overhead, the motorway, Ashoman Estate and its environments, most of the riders that that request us that we take them end up taking our money from us. They end up snatching our phones from us. And mostly what they do is that they are two. And when the first one take the phone from you and you try to get them and then you change the other person, then use the back end and they enter your car, take your money, take whatever belongings that you have. So we are really suffering. We need help.
Meanwhile, the union is also accusing Bolt of defying DVLA's directive to stop charging booking fees and has described the introduction of a new platform fee as illegal. Francis Tenge warned that drivers will have no choice but to demonstrate if the fees are not scrapped.
3 years ago, DVLA instructed Bolt to stop taking booking fee, but Bolt as a company has been taking booking fee since they haven't stopped. And last week they have also introduced platform fee. They have introduced platform fee which they are taking from the drivers. We don't even know why they are taking this money from us. So this is illegal, and we are asking Bolt to stop. If Bolt as a company don't stop taking this money from we the drivers, we will have now no options than to go on in a demonstration or in a strike. We are also calling on the government, so the Ministry of Transport, Communication, to come together and they support us, also regulate this sector very well to the benefit of everyone.
And you heard Chairman of the Ghana Online Drivers and Courier Union, Francis Tege, ending the business news on Business Daily on 3FM 92.7 with me, Bismarck Ausa. For more business stories, please check out our website 3news.com. Urban Blend is next with Black Rasta. Please stay.